We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast for raising funds for nonprofit organizations. We have Tony. Tony, tell us what you're doing today.
We're going to Hershey, PA. We have our walk a mile, Anthony's Memorial Walk a Mile for Kindness and ADHD, and it's inside because it's about 20 degrees here. So we're holding at the Hershey Fresh Market at Town Square. And
Right.
Hershey's was our home for 35 years in Anthony's home. So we've got a great setup. There's about 40 retailers in this fresh market, and they're all going to have orange balloons, and we're going to do registration. We're going to walk around the event, and just we're excited about it. And some of the vendors even have gone out and got orange hearts on their own so that people could fill them out when they come by. So pretty cool.
Nice. It's very cool. Very cool. So I don't know that you can the screen today or not, but we've Life Masters has done some additional work there. They still have not cracked the code on engagement. So they've got on the 3-minute survey to create engagement. They've got over 40,000 people to hit the site, but they can't get people to fill it out. So they're doing some more stuff. And what we're having them do is including ADHD stuff now. And so they've got where there's one quick question: how are you connected to ADHD in your life? And then they put their best email in there, and then it goes in and says, I'm a business owner with ADHD. I have employees who have ADHD. I'm an adult living with ADHD. I'm a spouse or partner of someone who has ADHD. I'm a parent of a child with ADHD. I'm a contributor to ADHD related initiatives. I'm interested in becoming a contributor. I'm an ADHD coach. I create content or influence conversations about ADHD. So there's 8 different options that somebody can choose from,
Great. Yeah.
Or 9 different options that somebody can choose from. So they're testing this out right now. And so they're working on getting engaged.
The only other one.
Go ahead.
The only other one I might consider, Mark, is an educator. I didn't hear educator in there.
Yeah.
So I'm an educator, works with kids that have ADHD, because that's or some part of the education system, education, psychology, whatever it might be. They work with kids that have ADHD.
Yeah, love it. So would it be an educator working with students who have ADHD, or
Yeah, that would be a good one. And then or I'm a professional, like a psychologist who does assessments or helps those struggling with ADHD, something like that. Psychologist or psychiatrist. Those are the other two I would add.
Gotcha. So Nita, you got those?
Yeah, the educator working with ADHD kids, or a psychologist
working with ADHD.
Psychologist or psychiatrist.
Psychiatrist.
That
okay.
either assesses or
working with ADHD. So perfect. So we'll get those 2 added onto that, and so and then we're going to have to play around with it and and figure out how do you get people. And then once they choose this option of now the 9 or 10 or 11 options, then they can go ahead and then they can go in and start a 3-minute assessment. And so it's a 2-part process. So it's one is this, and then another is that. And so that's really cool. And then I started working with Claude, the AI, and that I was working on that a couple hours this morning, and that's fascinating. So going through that, and so yeah, interesting there. Anything else, Tony, that you have today that you want to cover?
No, the only thing I'm thinking, so 40,000 people come to the site, um, and they haven't gotten past taking the assessment. They haven't made it that far, or what have they
Yeah, they
done?
haven't taken
Just
the
so I'm clear.
assessment. Yeah, they go to it. They go to it, and it used to be they're making Life Mastery is making progress on it. So it used to be 0 to 3 seconds they would be on the page. So but they
Okay, I
changed it,
gotcha.
and now it's 17. They've gotten it up to 17 seconds on a page. So they're making progress, but people are reading over it. There's a video, but there's not a lot of engagement on the video. And so it's like, grr, why, so some things,
Hmm.
so the message is resonating with people and they're going to it, but getting people to engage, man, is that hard.
Yeah.
So they're doing a
Well, you're
whole
running the
bunch.
same thing. You're running the
Go
same
ahead.
thing we are, because while we have all these social media sites up and we've put a lot of information out there, we're finding that unless it's like, if it's on TikTok, for example, right? Unless it's
Okay.
funny and um, people view it as they're either a comedy where they have one person saying, well, my ADHD made me do this, well, should I go ahead and do this? Like, there's two faces to a person. There's some other funny character, funny, something funny about it. They're not staying long, because when you get into the serious part of this, people don't want to deal with it.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, they just don't want to. They don't want to face the reality of that. Either they have it, or they know somebody who has it, or there might be somebody struggling with it, and and then they don't view it as a serious social matter yet. And like, if you went down a path and talked about autism, I think you get a whole different
Well,
study,
I
because
don't know. I don't know, Tony. I think it's everything. I think it's interesting because there's a friend of mine from high school and she's a missionary over in Hong Kong, and she raised money and they've been a missionary over there for decades. But then she started to go into rescue girls and single moms from prostitution.
yeah, wow,
So they have a system where in Hong Kong, at least they did, I don't know if they do now, but they had a system in Hong Kong where they would bring over young girls or single moms from the Philippines over to Hong Kong to be nannies.
okay, yeah,
Then they would go ahead and they didn't realize that the standard of living over in Hong Kong. So then they're put in a situation where they can't make enough money. Then they're introduced to prostitution.
wow,
So they have a whole system for this. It's crazy. I mean, it is crazy when I learned about the system. And so she said, but she tried raising money from Christians for getting women out of prostitution. And she said, being a missionary, we raised money, really fast and easy. I mean, that was easy. But
yeah,
as soon as we talked about getting women out of prostitution, we couldn't raise any money from Christians and churches. And I said, why is that, Malin? And she's like, Christians don't like messy.
uh, yeah.
I think it's everybody doesn't like messy. Everybody just wants to laugh and giggle, and
That's
people
it.
want to do it. This is why, I mean, I know with Jonathan committing suicide, our oldest son 5 years ago, like nobody wants to address it. Nobody wants to prevent it from happening. Everybody wants to put their
Yeah,
head in the sand. And it's like, if you go through what I've been through,
yeah.
you want to prevent other people from going through it, but people don't want.
They don't want to deal with it, Mark. They just
They
don't.
don't.
And we're starting to see the same thing. So what we start. That's why tying kindness into this. Yesterday we did a video. Anthony's birthday was yesterday. He would have been 28,
Oh,
and we did a video for him. It's out on social media, and I think we've got the most hits off of this video because we talked about his life. We talked about how kind he was and what he did for people, and it's probably got the most impressions that I've had out of anything we put out there in 2 years.
Nice.
So I think that when you stay, and we didn't talk much about his ADHD. We talked about him, talked about
Okay.
talked about how he was, how he lived, and that we want his life to continue. We want his legacy to continue.
Have
And
you ever read the book The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell?
yeah, I've read parts of it.
So
I'm
I think
not a good reader. I'm a good listener, Mark.
gotcha.
So
So you can do it on audio. I don't know if it was, I think it was that book where they talked about fundraising.
yeah,
And
yeah.
there's a tipping point in fundraising where all of a sudden everything's going slow, and then there's a tipping point. So he talks about that, I think, in that. I love all of his books. Outlier is a good one
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
All of those. But yeah.
I don't know. So what we've done. So just so the other thing our marketing team is focused on, and
Yeah.
I've given them a number of names of people that have ADHD. I mentioned we got some potentially some support from Adam Levine, who has ADHD. We don't know where it'll go, but Simone Biles' group came in, and she's competing right now, so she doesn't have time. But they love what we're doing around kindness. Our kindness movement is starting to get a little bit of legs, and then she has ADHD too. And then Paris Hilton, who is just kicking butt in terms of, but they all have the funds to do the big things. Like Paris Hilton is doing a kids show and all this other stuff. But they've all expressed some interest in what we're trying to do around ADHD and kindness. So I don't know how we tie that in, but or if there has to be a short video, and I think we're working on that to actually entice them to stay, listen to, whatever it might be. I'm not sure. We've been trying to figure this out, and even our team has said they brought in a TikTok expert, and they want to create an emoji of Anthony. I said, I'm not sure that'll go somewhere. Well, they believe on TikTok it might. And
Yeah.
I said, and my wife Casey's created a short emoji on him, but they want to create an emoji that talks and stuff. And I'm not sure, but TikTok seems to be a platform where things are going to go viral. That's at least what all the social media. I'm not a social media guru. I don't want to be, quite honestly.
Right.
So, but they believe that we have to get to this TikTok platform, and that's where we're going to drive change and drive what we need. So a couple of paths here, but even getting people to sign in and register for this walk has been excruciating.
It's brutal.
Yeah, the teams don't want, and we've made it as simple as it could be. But I got a call from my cousin, and she's got 40, 50 people that they're going to go in a mall and walk. And she said, they're willing to make a small donation, like the $25, but they just don't want to go through the process of registering. I said, well, it takes like 2 minutes. You don't need a lot of time to do this, and they don't want to spend the time to do it. So I think we're not going to see the outcome of the walk that we even had last year.
Okay.
With what we're doing in 2 places this year, and that's okay. But we're getting our name out. Our name will be here at Hershey, and we're getting some Fox 43 is going to come and do a video taping today, so that'll be on Fox. And then when we go back home, we got WECT, which is a TV station. Casey and I are going to go do an interview there. So I think we have to tell a story. We have to be able to tell that story, but we have to tie it to something that is either kind or funny.
You might try this, because in the best book I've ever read on creating copy and engagement is Made to Stick by Dan and Chip Heath.
Okay, Made to Stick. All right.
Made to Stick by Dan and Chip Heath, the Heath brothers. And I'm telling you, that thing was amazing. It was so good. I have a rule. Like, I don't like to read either. So when I read, it's very different than how other people read. I might read 3 pages at a time, and then I try to internalize it because I never want to read the book again. But that book, I made an exception. And Tom Kuntz and Peter Miles and I did a series on sticky messages, and that we used that like it was a course for Life Masteries Institute. Okay. So they asked us to do a course for Life Masteries Institute, and it was sticky messages, and I used that for curriculum. And I had read the book, a couple times, but when I taught on the book, I discovered something at the very end. And they have this formula that's a pretty easy formula, but it's, 5 or 6 steps to creating a sticky message. But the essence, and so one of the bachelor's degrees I've got is in marketing. And that one piece, that one piece at the end of that book taught me more about marketing than my whole degree did in marketing.
Is that right?
Yeah. And here's the secret. It's ask a question and tell a story.
Yes. Yeah.
What happens is that the question is opens up people's minds.
Yep.
And the story fills it. And so this is what's interesting. On podcast Nora and I did a few weeks ago on Your Voice in My Headset about friendship.
Yep.
And my wife, she was participating in it, and she read the following to us on the podcast, and it changed everything. It says, when trauma gets triggered, you don't act your age, you act the age the wound was created. Think of it this way. Your mind is a house, and somewhere in this house, there's a locked room that hasn't been open for years. Something happened in that room when you were 8, 14, the younger version of you. Something happened in that room. So what you did was turn off the lights and shut the door, and you kept on living in that rest of the house. But that room doesn't disappear. So it's talking about trauma. And so, and it's that trauma in not all situations, but many situations, if not most situations, came from something that wasn't an act of kindness.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's almost like, yeah, this has been good. This has helped me see a couple more dots. Like, okay, I hadn't thought of that angle quite like that. Nora's a big TikTok, follower. And so she shares. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are, and I just can't get in. I can't get to it. I just can't.
I can't either.
I can't scroll, but I don't know where this will go. But we've tried to restructure what we're trying to do. And there's more videos now tied to. We've done more videos here in the last month than I think I've ever done in my life, other than speaking time and stuff. But it's just, but it's. I think hopefully some of this is starting to resonate because this might be a tipping point, if you will, for where we're going. Because the next step after we get done with this walk is to take it to the kindness movement. And we can get a couple of. We can just get one person who that has a good voice or a voice out there about this because they've lived it. Then I think we could make some headway with the whole program. But I get into this thing like, why would I give $5 to your organization? We talked to some people it was last week. We've been doing team meetings, and one of the guys said, well, I give to my church. And I said, well, I love giving to my church too. Why would I give to why would I give to your organization and not to my church? And I said, keep giving to the church. I said, but all we're asking for is $5. Put $5 in, and don't forget about the Starbucks coffee, and put $5 in our in the kitty for this. And he said, I give my $5 to my church. I said, okay, well, that's fine. I only with where we're going with this, you only have 30 seconds if someone's going to give or not give, because it's $5.
Right. This is what's fascinating to me, Tony, because Life Masteries has faced the same thing. Same exact thing. And so my dad, he's a pastor. So I grew up in the church, and did I give a lot of money, even as a teenager. I mean, I wouldn't buy a Big Mac. I'd buy a fish sandwich to save 30 cents, but I'd give hundreds or thousands of dollars literally to the church. It's just crazy. And I'm not criticizing that. I'm just saying that like it's just, I don't know. It's just interesting to me. And what does the church do with it? Like our church that I'm going to now, they just went ahead and they're doing fundraising for $10 million to build an addition on so they can put a gymnasium and pickleball courts. And I'm a big pickleball player, so I'm not against it. But well, they didn't raise 10 million, Tony. They raised 14 million.
Yeah, God bless. I mean, that's
it is, but I don't know. Is God? They say God's blessing, and I'm not saying it's not. It's just fascinating to me. Have you done anything with churches?
We did. We went. Casey and I went and spoke last year to our first year out to a number of church organizations, and we got some following there for our first walk. All right, but then what we did last year is there's with our Orange Hearts of Kindness program. In October, we went and we spoke to about 170 kids, and they all filled out Orange Hearts of Kindness and created, and there's 17 youth groups come together on a Sunday, and they have hamburgers and hot dogs for the kids, and then they do certain parts in the service, and then they came to us, and we had them all fill out Orange Hearts of Kindness. It was pretty cool. And we created a great board, and kids had great fun with it, and stuff. But that's as far. But now we've asked them to participate in the walk. They don't want to participate in the walk. So I'm not sure what else we need to do. The
church we go to is a big church, and they give away on a yearly basis. The season of giving, they give away $250,000 to $300,000 a year to both local and worldwide organizations.
Okay.
And so. And they have a school that's connected to the church and a huge youth program and stuff like that. And so if you have a media kit or, something specific to, pastors or churches, I can probably have my wife go ahead and, figure out how to get that into the church.
Okay. Well, let me talk to Casey. You met Casey on the one call. I'll talk to her. We're with her today because she's out here in Hershey, so she's coordinating the whole event for us. But I'll talk to her and see if we can put something together to get to you for the church. But I mean,
because Life Masteries, of that 17 million database they have, they can slice and dice it by SICs. Or NISCs, so the Standard Industrial Code, so they can actually have they have over 100,000 churches and pastors in that database. And so if you think
what would be if you're, you grew up in the ministries, right? So what would be the point where you would want to listen to? I mean, how many kids you think out of a youth group in the church that you go to have ADHD?
I'm guessing based on some of the stuff I'm reading in the book and stuff, it's 25%.
Yeah, at least 25%. I mean, and some that you don't even know about because some of the girls they're not coming out. So anyway,
what would trigger them? This is the thing, Tony, that that like Tom Coons, like I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's crazy. He helped raise $100 million for Easter seals.
I know.
You would think that Easter seals would listen to him, right? But they don't. Like, he went to a big event in Las Vegas, and he's, they're doing a big event, thanking all of their sponsors and all that kind of stuff. And they give him a plaque or something for $100 million. And he's at a networking group. And they're, having drinks and stuff. And he's at a table with the president of Northwestern Mutual. And they're talking, and they're like, Tom's the Northwestern Mutual guy says, yeah, I have 70,000, Northwestern Mutual, guys all around the country, and Tom's like, wow, I have 140,000 agents. And what if we partner together and, I help you, you help me, and we do something together? And the guy's like, yeah, great idea. And so he goes to the president of Easter Seals and he says to the president of Easter Seals, this is a guy that help raise $100 million. He says the president of Easter Seals, I just had this amazing thing happen. He said, I'd be more than happy to get up and talk about that and share with it and everything like that. What did the president of Easter Seals do? He said, no.
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 Yeah.
Oh my good. It's just crazy. And Tom and I were up speaking at Easter Seals in Wisconsin, and we go out to dinner with the guy who's in that region. And Tom got up and spoke, and there's, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 business people. And Tom got up and spoke, and, Tom's not like me. I'm a pretty teary-eyed guy. Like, I have a lot of emotion and I'm fine with crying. So I don't know, in 20 plus years, I've seen Tom cry maybe 5 times, maybe tear up like 3, 5 times. So not a big one, but he teared up then. I mean, he teared up when he was sharing about it. And we went out to dinner that night. And the guy goes ahead and says to Tom, he's like, Tom, we have another meeting tomorrow. And Tom's like, uh-huh. And Tom's like, and the guy says, hey, can you do that tear up thing like you did?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and Tom, boy, was he ticked. Yeah. But I bet. I did have an understanding of it. I had a guy that was the head of ABWE, Dwayne Early, and he was in charge of fundraising. And so he would sit down. So it's a mission organization, so a Baptist mission organization, and they have, I don't know, over 1,000 missionaries all over the world. So he'd sit down and he'd sit down for lunch, and somebody give him a $500,000 check. That's what he did in fundraising.
Yeah.
And so he came, he heard of me and stuff. And so he came over and we golfed and stuff. And then he came over to our house afterwards, and we had like a 20-minute conversation. And he said to me, he said, Mark, I've never seen anybody like so passionate as you. Like, in these 20 minutes, you've talked about 5 totally different topics. You're passionate about every single one of them. He said, you have to be around people that are passionate. I said, that's an interesting observation. What do they have to have passion about? He said, it doesn't matter with you, anything. I'm like, right? And then, I don't know, one of the topics, I started tearing up. Like, the tears started flowing. Like, it was, that was probably 2 years after Jonathan's death. And so I started tearing up. And he looked at me and he said, are those tears real? I'm like, excuse me?
Yeah.
Like what? And I just stopped. Yeah. And I asked him later, I said, why would you say that? He said, Mark, I'm around pastors. And everything made sense. My dad, I'm a pastor. So they know how to, like actors. I'm not saying they're acting. I'm just saying they know how to emotionally raise money. They're masters at it. So I don't know. I've scratched my head. So pastors don't like me by and large, because I'm not kind to them, I guess, because I ask hard questions and they don't like me. And so we wouldn't have me sharing with the church that we go to. We wouldn't have me make the introduction. We'd have, Nora goes.
Yeah, your wife goes.
Yeah, we'd have my wife or Nora or somebody else who's kind go and, say, hey, here's a great cause. We keep me out of it for sure.
So, yeah. Well, hey, I have an idea just based on what you're talking about. So, So Tom was with Caldwell Banker, or which organization?
He was with Century 21.
Century 21. Okay. So I've got, I made some small inroads here with some real estate people. Okay. And one of them loves the kindness program, and he's going to push the kindness program through his
group. Are they with? What company?
Caldwell Banker. I think it's Caldwell Banker.
So Tom introduced me, I don't know, a number of years. I don't have contact with him anymore, but Tom introduced me to the past president of Caldwell Banker. And we had a number. So Tom currently is the executive vice president of Engel and Volkers USA.
Okay. All right.
So Tom's got a number of connections, in real estate.
So here's my thought, though, is that a couple of people, the people I talk to in real estate love this $5, and to go out to the agents and say, hey, $5, you can put $5 in, or even like we were talking car dealers, or for every property that moves,
right?
Because they're moving throughout the country, donate $5.
Right.
words are kindness, and you get a heart, and we could create a group. And I'm just thinking that if there are people like Tom that know other people, or like if you know other people from Caldwell Banker, etc., to this is a simple thing. They're moving a product, they're moving a house, car, and all we're asking for is $5 from that movement.
Right.
And the guys I talked to thought it was a great idea. So I'm just wondering on a bigger scale, how, we can get to somebody who really has some push or thump, if you will, because the people I'm talking to are agents. They're not at that level of even running the office.
Right. So Anita, if you can put down on a to-do list, I need to email Tom. And then also we need to get over the podcast for Tom and Peter, if we haven't already, to Tony, that Nora and I did with Tom, and then Nora and I did with Peter. And I need to send an email over to Tom and ask him a question about the ADHD. Yeah. And so that's a great idea.
Yeah, I just think that, you've got a number of connections. I've heard you mention a number of people, even in the car industry. Maybe the way to approach it, I'm not saying Life Masteries isn't the way to go, but unless we make this funny and we can attract them to come online and watch something that's funny, we can get an influencer to do something that would make them stay. And maybe there's people that I could talk to the marketing team about that. Maybe there's somebody that could do a short video on ADHD that's an influencer. And we know a couple. But again, getting them. So we get the influencer, but here's the thing: get the influencer, but then for them to move $5 through their organization, that's really hard too. So
I'm telling you. But you're doing a great job, Tony. A phenomenal job, because what you're doing is putting the infrastructure, and so in place to where big companies, big organizations love experts. And so your slideshow with all your experts, they eat that stuff up. So the biggest challenge that the big companies have is they have to be really careful of their brand. So any money any organization, any organization that they go ahead and support, they have to be really careful. They like to know it's established, it's not going to have any issues. Like ABWE, they had one of their missionaries over in Africa that sexually abused a whole bunch of kids. So you're doing the right things to get everything in place and having the experts and how it's presented. So I think you're positioning it, and so kudos on that. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I know how to build things. All right. I'm not, I built things that when I was at EY, that we were the number one revenue generating practice out of the whole organization across the countries. So, I know how to build stuff. So functionality, this is a very personal build. And when I get and I have to watch my frustration level, because some things don't necessarily go the way I would hope they would go. Like, this people's not signing up. Like, people have 40 people underneath them, and they want to do the walk, but they don't want to sign up. And so people coming to your site that only spend 3 or 17 seconds. They don't get it. They get nothing out of it, but that's if they're young, that's acceptable. But if they have some age and they've seen people go through some challenges, guaranteed any child today is faced with bullying at school because of their ADHD, because how they either act out, or because they say the wrong things, or they leave the classroom to go take a test and they come back in, and then they're said to be dummies because they have to leave the class to go. That's why kindness is so important here. That's why we have to change this whole landscape and really raise kindness to a different level, because it's not going to happen unless we get a whole uniform. That's why this kindness push is so big. So, but the question maybe anybody who's seen a child, and if the parents have listened to their child, sometimes kids don't want to talk about bullying. It took Anthony a long time to really come out and tell us, and the only way we found out is he had to stand up against people. So, but I think if you add that, that's a route that we haven't even thought about going down yet. And the youth side is, and parent side, your child is probably, there's a 50-50 chance or better that your child is being bullied. And I can tell you girls are being bullied more than boys are because it's through media, and it's a quiet bullying. So anyway, we're trying to change it. It is a process, and we just have to figure out. But with some of the names and people, like, the maybe Tom's one avenue, but the car people you mentioned earlier in one of our calls, I mean, is another area to go down and say, look, let's talk about this, because, guaranteed, I'm trying to educate some car dealers that I'm working with about ADHD, and guaranteed they have to figure out who they're dealing with. Like, they get a person who has ADHD that what might come in, it's a totally different sell than it is to someone who, is a it could be a very analytical person. You know what I mean? It's like so read the person. And if they're impulsive and they're going to buy the car. You got an I mean, that's just part of the transaction. That's how my mind works. If I'm impulsive, I'm going to go buy something, I go get it. Anyway, just good conversation.
Yeah, no, and bless you guys for doing all that work.
Thanks. Thank you. Thank you all too. Appreciate it.
It's crazy on how much work goes on behind the scenes that nobody sees. So I feel like you're my brother, like you. Well, I have 3 brothers, and you understand more than my 3 brothers do. And it's like trudging through stuff. It's like you do all this stuff, and you're doing it to try to help people, and people don't appreciate it, and things don't happen, and traction doesn't happen. But someday it will. Someday.
Yeah. I think it will too. I mean, I like the tipping point. I'll have to go read the book. Can you have, Anita or Nora, can you just pass me a note on the books that you rattled off today, so I can go take a look at some of them? I
Yeah.
And Anita, on the one with Tom, I can include Peter in that email. And so I think both of them, if I get them both together, that might help, because I introduced them to one another, so they both know each other, and they both, think a lot of each other. And so that might actually help create more leverage. Yeah, really cool. Really cool.
I mean, and I appreciate our marketing team, because they've, so there's a person who there's a video I saw on YouTube, and she's the richest woman in the world. Okay. And she has she's a philanthropist like no other. And I've asked them to reach out to her, because what she does is, she's very quiet about her philanthropy, but she's given more money away than anybody. So they're reaching out to her platform of people and stuff to see. So we're trying to go at this from 2 angles. One is, hey, let's hit everybody, because there's a group that can give the $5, but then we have to get somebody up here who sees the bigger picture and really understands what we're trying to get at, and that we're trying to change this whole landscape for how kids are treated, and they need the help that they need, and there has to be accommodations for these kids. Otherwise, they're going to go into a terrible zone. And so,
right, absolutely. Well, hey, you guys be safe and have a great day and enjoy. And thanks so much for being on, even though you're traveling. Appreciate that commitment.
Appreciate you guys. Take care. Thanks a lot, Anita.
All right, we'll see you.
Take care of yourself. Bye.
Bye-bye.